In this video, I'm going to break down my thoughts on XRP. I've not made a video about XRP for a while, or covered it a lot, because there hasn't really been too much to cover. Obviously, if you've been watching the price action, we've basically gone sideways for, well, you can say years, but let's talk about it. Let me talk about exactly what I'm seeing coming up for XRP and whether I'm still bullish on the asset or not. So to start with, if you've been following the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit, both sides have filed all their documents now, and we're waiting for the judge's decision on the remedies, which is basically the fine that Ripple may or may not have to pay. I think that a lot's been changing in the political spotlight, as you guys know, or with the SEC specifically. All of a sudden, Trump's come out. He's pro-crypto, whether you like him or not. That's relevant to the conversation. It's meant that both parties now have to have a crypto mandate, and they're both putting it in a positive spotlight, which puts the SEC under tremendous pressure as they've been playing the, what do they call it, the cop on the beat or something. That's what Gary Gensler has been saying. All of a sudden, this cop is looking a little bit corrupt and like he has no gun anymore. So with that being said, they've just filed, they've just approved an ETH ETF after filing a Wells notice to consensus. They were trying to sue Uniswap. They've been obviously in a lawsuit with Ripple, and Ripple's been beating them down. And one of the reasons that the FIT21 bill got passed through the Senate was because of, well, they actually referenced that because of the hard work that Ripple have been doing in courts against the SEC. So the spotlight is heavily on the SEC. This makes me think that if this case does get a decent fine or whatever the fine Ripple have to pay, there's speculation that it's anywhere between like 50 and 200 mil. Like, we'll see what it is. That the SEC, in my opinion, might not then appeal because of how much negative media and spotlight there is on the SEC right now. That's just my personal opinion. Adding to that, recently, in fact yesterday, the judge orders the SEC to pay 1.8 million in fines over the debt box lawsuit. Specifically, the judge is making the SEC cover the legal costs. The judge found the SEC abused its authority in the case and now needs to pay fines on behalf of the crypto platform. Another win for another crypto project. So that's one potential catalyst maybe for price action of XRP. One thing that I think is really important that you need to remember in any cryptocurrency is whether it can capture attention. You've seen Solana absolutely ripping recently. I would say off the back of VC funding, but pushing people towards their ecosystem. I have nothing against it because they're trying to push devs and the developers work on the network. More people then come to the network, and then now we're seeing the meme craze on Solana, which is cool. So it's all about capturing attention and where can and how can this attention be captured. Could attention come to XRP from the settlement of the Ripple lawsuit if that goes well? Potentially. Speaking of that, and something that people don't take into consideration enough for XRP, and I know the price action hasn't been attractive. I've been there, I've held it. It's been one of my biggest bags, and still is. It's my main bag. That's absolutely honest, and that's whether I'm going to be right or wrong with this. I don't know. Time will tell. But it's been under a lawsuit. It's probably taken the biggest stick out of any crypto for the last 3 to 5 years, probably, and has still remained one of the top 10 cryptos by market cap. I think that's important. If you're under supreme pressure, more pressure than any other crypto, probably that you could argue, especially in the top 10, and still maintaining a top 10 position whilst having all this FUD, uncertainty, whatever around it, there's definitely something there. It means that this is a time where if you're going to see complete capitulation, which you are seeing in sentiment, but you aren't then following through in price action, then there's got to be something behind that. I'm not going to go too deep into that actually continuing, because I wanted to just talk on Solana. So when Solana was at its absolute low, so I'm talking in this area here, this is the area. We're talking December the 28th of 2022. This is Solana's absolute lows. We wicked into $8 territory for Solana, and this was the time when you were getting news articles coming out saying Sam Bankman-Fried and how like he loves Solana and that sort of thing, and that FTX would need to sell off all their Solana holdings. And this was the prime time to buy, and I kind of feel like that's a potential for what could be happening with XRP. I don't think the reversal is going to be like this. I don't know if we will get this explosion because obviously, as I just showed the market cap, there's like Solana's only double XRP's market cap ish at the minute, and obviously that increase from the low of $8 ish up to the high is like a 15x. So that would mean a 15x in market cap for XRP if that was going to come, and I don't think that that is very reasonable. It's at least at this stage in the cycle. However, I do feel that the sentiment is similar to, if not as low as what it was around the Solana ecosystem. Like anyone outside of the XRP ecosystem won't touch it with a barge pole. That's been the case for a while. Like even before the lawsuit, but then especially with the lawsuit, and then even people within the XRP community are leaving left, right, and center. You're seeing founders of projects on the XRP ledger like saying how bad like Ripple are and how they deserve grants and all this sort of stuff, and it's the sentiment's awful. People holding XRP specifically are upset, angry. Like I personally even feel worried to make content about it. And like I don't feel like that about any other asset. I can just make content about anything and not feel like I'm about to get crucified. But I do feel like that with XRP. So is that saying something? Like is that like a sign? I don't know. One thing I will say though is that sentiment can shift very quickly, and there have been some positive things going on in the background. That as soon as the sentiment starts to shift positively, if it starts to shift positively and you start to get that attention, that's how things can really snowball in crypto. Sorry, I've got an itchy nose. That's how things can really snowball in crypto. And one of the things recently that's happened, XRP is now available on Coinbase to people in New York. This has happened in the last week. Obviously, no increase in price action. Oh, that actually says May the 19th, but it was actually really recently that Coinbase relisted XRP. I think it was in New York or whether it was just the US, but I'm not going to get stuck into that because you guys have probably seen it. The Coinbase like chief legal officer, Paul, whatever his name is, I've forgotten now, basically said that XRP is now available. As well as that, there's potential speculation on an XRP ETF. This came from Valkyrie's chief investment officer in January. Then was told again by Standard Chartered analyst, likely to come in 2025 with a Solana ETF. And then if you look at Brad Garlinghouse's likes, like he hinting at something here because he's very careful in what he likes and talks about. He's liked 3 XRP ETF posts there as well. So could there be an XRP ETF come in? Like all these things, if we start to get some bullish momentum, like let's say the lawsuit settles favorably, and then all these things I don't think have been priced in for XRP price action, and then we may start to see that attention move over to the XRPL. We may not, but this is just again my view on what is potential and what could be coming for XRP. Then if we move geopolitically and look at Japan, Japan having some real big problems in terms of currency at the minute. If you know a little bit about finance, you'll know the Japanese yen is under severe pressure. They've actually been the Japanese government have been buying back yen with dollars, and it's just weird timing. This is like kind of like moon boy stuff, but I don't want to get too deep into what I mean here. It's just something to potentially take note of. Is that back in 2019, the SBI CEO, I think is Yoshitaka Kitao. This is the guy here. Yeah, Yoshitaka Kitao. He said every bank in Japan will use Ripple's XRP by 2025. Now take from that what you will. SBI is 6% shareholder in Ripple, so it would make sense that he would promote Ripple and XRP with the XRPL. But then, very weirdly and recently, Ripple joined forces with Hashkey DX to introduce XRP ledgered enterprise solutions in Japan. We've talked about this before, and they're not just talking about like using just XRP to settle currency transactions. They're talking about potentially tokenizing some assets. And we saw the tokenization of property as a display in the Hong Kong digital dollar. premiere back last year, the end of last year or the start of this year, I can't remember, but basically Ripple were chosen to show how tokenized housing would work on the XRPL with the e-Hong Kong dollar. At the same time, in that same area, we've got Korea, a company in Korea have started to, or a firm in Korea have started to become an XRP validator as well. Infinite Block. Aside from this, Ripple have talked about and now filed a trademark for their stablecoin, the RLUSD. So that could bring more attention to the XRP ledger. How they're going to back this, they've said with dollars, but is there going to be anything to do with XRP in terms of the backing of the stablecoin? I don't know. But what it does do, as I said, is bring obviously stablecoins onto the XRPL, which leads nicely into what David Schwartz is talking about and a few other Ripple employees. David Schwartz literally 10 hours ago said he will be unveiling Ripple's vision and roadmap for the institutional DeFi on the XRP ledger. So could XRP become the gas for like institutional DeFi with obviously the introduction of this stablecoin as well. So there are all the things that I'm basically thinking about and like have in my mind with XRP. Whether we can get that attention come back to the ledger or not, I don't know, guys. That's my honest opinion. Like, I'm not here to say I do or don't know anything. Sentiment is absolutely awful, as I said. We need to see a turn in sentiment before anything will start to happen, because people need to get bullish on it. But then again, sentiment turns really quick. And if we just quickly look technically at the XRP chart, these are the Bollinger Bands. This is the XRP weekly on CoinTrader Pro. They're so tight on the weekly, meaning that volatility is incoming. These Bollinger Bands basically show volatility, like, or when volatility is about to occur. Like, the tighter they get, the more likely they're about to squeeze. And again, on the monthly time frame, I don't want to say it's going to make a move like it did in 2017, but if you read my long form content, I think this cycle is very similar to 2017, or more similar to 2017 than 2021. And in 2017, XRP was one of the biggest performers. Does that mean it's going to perform again? We don't know. Like, history tells us that even last cycle, we did have a move in XRP while we're under the lawsuit, only managed to top out around like 190. Can we get a much larger move than this off the back of potentially some positive lawsuit news, or is XRP done and dusted? I personally don't believe so. I think that if you've held an asset for this long and it's not completely capitulated whilst having some of the worst FUD in the industry and no attention and everyone leaving the ledger, the upside like positivity outweighs the potential for downside price action, in my opinion, but only if we can get the momentum and attention back. But these things return very quickly, and we live in a speculative space only right now. Yet Ripple and the XRP ledger are probably one of the only crypto um, currencies, but also like companies involved in crypto that are actually providing real world value. Everyone else, I would argue, is just speculative at this point. So I think there's an easy momentum like swing to come. It's just whether it does hit the XRP ledger. As soon as you start to break out of some of these levels, like if we get a break above $2, everyone will FOMO into XRP. That is my firm and honest belief. Uh, Everyone thinks that the coin's dead, and it feels like it is. Like, we've sat in this. If you bought in December 2017, you've sat underwater for like 7 years, and so I can completely like empathize with how everyone feels. And like, who knows what is going to catch fire here? Like, memes have been like catching absolute fire because they're easy to give attention to. Is XRP going to be something that is going to gain some attention this cycle? I personally do believe so. That's why I still hold a lot of it. I personally think the downside is limited, and I genuinely believe the upside potential is large if we start to get this attention and potentially start to move into like using it for real world things. When if we get the green light, if we get out of this SEC lawsuit, it's going to be, along with Bitcoin, one of the only cryptos that has clear regulatory clarity. You could say that ETH does now with the ETH ETF, although there's still the Wells notice with consensus. What might happen there, I genuinely don't know. I think Gary Gensler's under pressure and he'll be out the door soon, so I think things will change in the next few months anyway for crypto. I would not safely say, but pretty much that ETH's going to be sound, and XRP is going to be another one that, well, we already have the proof that it's not a security set from Judge Torres, but once the SEC lawsuit's completely done and people can't FUD that anymore, then I think that the green light's there at least to stop the constant FUD, and we're looking for some sort of catalyst for a big breakout in XRP. And you'll see fractals all online about like the similarity between this section and this section of where we are right now, and I do agree. I think that the longer the base, the higher in space, and we've been consolidating for a long time. We've been making higher lows and lower highs, so we are consolidated for a move up. And if you take a zoomed out perspective on the monthly time frame like this is like a bull pennant, and it should break out to the upside whether you like it or not. That's TA, that's what it tells us. So let's see what happens. I'm in for the bag. It's a hard hold, but let's hope we're right in the end. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Peace up, A-Town down, as I should say.